Okay, so the image that we're looking at here is an enhydrin type of fingerprint. We can see all the text running through the background. We've illuminated this using cross-polarizing. So if I now rotate the polarizer on my camera, we can see that the text can go to very, very black, which we can see here. You get these really, really black sections of text running through the image. But if we rotate the polarizing filter back to about there, we're now getting a mid-shade, or if you like, a value of 5 from the zone system of grey in our fingerprint image. So if we zoom this back to fill the screen, we're now seeing shades of grey. Now, if this was a normal fingerprint on a white background, we would need this to be darker than it currently is. It's actually slightly overexposed. So we would typically go for an image that looked more like that. That would be the correct exposure for an enhydrin type fingerprint on a white background. But because we're also having to deal with these black areas of writing running through the image, which we need to remove later, we're going to deliberately slightly overexpose the image so that we can see ridge detail running through the text in our image. Now, once we're happy that that's at the correct setting, so just a little more, we're then ready to take the photograph. As long as the lighting's correct, the enhancements will work. So we're now going to capture our image, and then we're going to enhance it using those colour subtraction models we were talking about. So the image is captured in colour, and using the colour information in the software module that we have here, we're going to select an option to give us 5 different colour models. And if we look through these 5 different colour models, we can straight away see that we've lost the background completely in these images here. Sometimes it will partially disappear, sometimes it will completely disappear, depending on the colours and depending on the lighting. I've very specifically used daylight illumination here. I've adjusted the white balance to make sure the colour is correct. So we can now select either this image, whichever we choose. Let's select this image here. If we simply invert this to give us our black ridges, we're then going to reopen our original image, which we can convert into grayscale. So we can see very quickly we've gone from an image such as this one here, with all the text running through the background. Also, the fingerprint ridges themselves are quite faint. This isn't a very clear image. They're quite faint running through the background. But now, by using this color subtraction module, we're able to remove all of the background, so we only have the fingerprint. But always remember, there is this very strong relationship between the lighting, the exposure, and then the digital imaging. They all work together. The image that we have here has lots of different colors in the background. We have the black strips, the black pattern here. We also have a blue pattern. We have a white background, and we have the fingerprint expression itself, as well as text running through the background. So this really is a multicolored background. So again, I'm illuminating this specifically with daylight illumination, and I've made sure that it's looking correct on the screen. We can use the software here to change the white balance, and you can see the white balance is changing drastically to different colors. We need to make sure that we're capturing this with the correct white balance. Otherwise, we'll get incorrect information in the Bayer filtering pattern. Again, this is also illuminated using polarizing filters. And to accurately capture these black strips running through the image, I'm going to very carefully adjust my polarizers, so instead of seeing a black stripe, we need to see a shade of grey. And if we rotate the filter around to here, so we now have a mid-tone of grey. And if we look very carefully, because these are very faint ridges, we can just see ridge flow running through the black areas that we have here on our image. So once we have this set up correctly, the lighting is correct, we're then able to go ahead and take the photograph. So let's capture this image. Okay, so we now have very light shades of grey, lots of information in our fingerprint here and information in our fingerprint here. So I'm going to run this through exactly the same processes as before. We're going to select 5 different channels. And if we look through the images, we can see an image here. We still have some background information left, but we mostly have just the fingerprint with very limited background information. So if we select this image here and we invert it, we now have the fingerprint, and we can just start to see ridge flow coming through these areas in our fingerprint. Now there is another method of processing that can be used on images like this. Very often images have layers of patterns, and we need to remove things one at a time. Usually beginning with colour, to remove colour information where necessary. Once we've moved to the grayscale image, we can then look at enhancement processes for the black and white parts of the image. And here we're going to use a process called image segmentation, where we're going to specifically put the image into pure blacks and whites with no shades of grey, to help us enhance the ridge flow through the black areas of our fingerprint. So if we click onto this option here, we now have an image which is purely black and white. There are no shades of grey. And by segmenting this image, I can pull this across so we can now see ridge flow running through these areas here. If we click onto OK, I'm going to invert this image so that we now have the ridges here, the ridges here. This is a slightly noisy image, so I'm going to apply a small smoothing option, which you can see took the noise out of the image here. We then are going to simply use a user-defined mode to allow us to blend the 2 images together, applying a little bit of this on top of this. If we mix the 2 images together, we can now start to see much clearer ridge flow coming through these areas of our fingerprint, through here, through here, through here. We can add as much, too much, or as little as we want, to just see the ridge flow coming much clearer now through these areas of our fingerprint mark. If we click Finish, if we have lost any information from the image we're looking at here, we simply reopen our original image, which we drop into grayscale, and use the user-defined. So we now have our original image on the left and our newly enhanced image on the right. So you can already see that, for example, if we look at this area in the image here, if we zoom in, this area of the image contains no information. But through the enhancement process, we can now see the ridge flow in this area of our fingerprint. If we zoom back, what I'm now going to do is put my enhanced image on top of my original image to draw back any grayscale information that was lost during the enhancement process. So we can now simply use the slider bar here, and you can see the image on the left is now coming up The background is dropping out. We can clearly see the ridge flow through these areas here, where we've started to lose bits of the fingerprint through the enhancement process here in the core of the fingerprint. We're now getting the core of the print back. This is actually a thumbprint. So if we pull this through a little bit more, there we go. We've minimized the background. We can see the ridge flow from our fingerprint mark. We can click finish. And then we can further adjust the fingerprint by simply using either our controls here. Let's make this a little darker and adjust the fingerprint to our own personal preferences. So that's looking at layering, combining both the color channel models with image segmentation and blending several images together.